there's no limit to the kind of lives, careers, and families and communities LGBTQ plus people can have today. But in the South Asian diaspora, family usually means biological family, and community usually means an ethnic or faith-based community. So coming out can be difficult, it can be painful and even dangerous, not just for the LGBTQ plus folks, but also for their families. And what does this mean for the LGBTQ plus people who are seeking new ways to live their lives? So this series, Proud Possibilities, brings parents and allies together with LGBTQ plus people to talk about how to build fulfilling lives and relationships with both family and community. We'll look at how people are finding love and community, whether they stay single, find partners, or they get married. We'll hear about building their chosen family, possibly having children or not, and we'll also learn more about their professional lives too. So we'll look at how allies can join with LGBTQ plus leadership to change the community. Our goal is to offer possibility models on building fulfilling lives for LGBTQ plus people, as well as their parents and relatives. This event is part of a unique work that Desi Rainbows does to build intergenerational communication and understanding in the South Asian communities.
I love that. Thank you so much. I'm here for representation, and I'm thrilled to talk to our guest today. I would love to introduce you, Surbhi. So Surbhi Sahni is a chef and confectioner with 2 decades of culinary experience. Inspired by the abstract art pieces her father painted, which I heard are also being featured right behind you in that art on the wall, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. I'm doing a horrible job of showing them, but yes.
You're doing great.
That's so cool.
So inspired by the art her father painted, Surbhi pursued an unconventional career in the culinary world in the 90s. Indian female chefs like her are still a rarity in 2022. Surbhi has made her mark as a talented, savory chef of regional Indian cuisine and as a pastry chef with artisanal cakes and confections that preserve the essence of South Asian mithai, innovated by her own distinct flavor pairings and delicate artistry. As a proud queer Indian female chef and entrepreneur, Surbhi pushes back against the manufactured prestige of Eurocentric white male chefs and uses her platform to restore dignity to the legacies of home cooks, often women, food producers, farmers, street food vendors, and spice traders who have cultivated South Asian cuisines for centuries. Yes, Surbhi. Oh my God, I love to hear it. Incredible. So you are just incredibly inspiring to me. Your work is deeply profound and powerful, just the way you show up. So I want to open with a question for you, which is kind of like, what drew me to food. What really excites me about food is the intersection of queerness and food, right? So this concept of queer food, right? And I'm just kind of curious, how do you interpret that concept of queer food? And maybe let's start there. Yeah, what does queer food mean to you?
Sounds great. So first of all, thank you so much for having me come on this platform. It's a rarity to find a place where I'm actually talking about queerness and about me coming out, or being able to share it with the community in a different way. I mean, I certainly have been interviewed in other magazines, and mostly it's a lot more about I guess my food or my recipes or things like that. And so this is really, really amazing. And I'm really excited to be here. So I think queerness about, your question about queerness about food. So I don't, initially, I personally also didn't think about this question as much. It's only in the last, I would say 2 years after TAGMO has opened that I've been thinking about what helped me design the menus, or how is it that I think that is different from other chefs? And are those decisions been made because I'm queer, or those decisions made me become queer? I don't know, like they're both, it's like a chicken and an egg situation, I guess. So I certainly think a lot of the decisions I made were influenced with, one, my coming out experience. Like once I started talking about being queer, it sort of felt a little bit liberating for me in a big way. but also I feel like the decisions that I was making in terms of whether it is menus or the kind of ingredients I was using in my recipes, or the ways I was connecting my company to different sort of communities, certainly came from a space because I am queer. I remember like when I was very young and I was still sort of living a straight life till I was 35, and I had a point of view. If someone kind of asked me like, what do you think means being a queer? And like, I was not even part of the community. Like for me, coming into the community, it was all about friendships and camaraderie and acceptance, openness, community, and feeling like you're part of a bigger whole in some sort of a way is what I walked into when I kind of came to this space of like, I'm queer. Like that's where I was coming from. And I feel the decisions that I make at TAGMO or in my own sort of food space in big way are influenced with this sort of a mindset and this sort of a thought process that, and also like being really aware of like, how is the decisions that we make, whether it is operating the restaurant or running the restaurant or who we are hiring, how is it impacting each person that is walking into the company, whether that is guests or people that are sort of working with us. Did I answer your question? I think I did.
It's like queerness is beyond just like, you know, who you love and how you identify, right? It's like the decisions you're making, the impact you're making on a community. It's maybe doing things, what I heard is maybe doing things not exactly like how everyone else has done it, right? Maybe questioning why certain things are the way that they are and how can we, you know, make these small decisions to better uplift the community. I love that. I love that. And you can feel it when you walk in and when you look at your staff, right?
Well, thank you. Yeah. And also like, I think like just kind of having a more holistic approach generally to life. You know, it's about knowing what you yourself sort of believe in, and like how do you take your beliefs and put them more in a business spectrum or in your day-to-day life. How do you take these sort of larger than life ideals that we all want to kind of live to and make them part of your life in a way that they're simplistic and, you know, you're just integrating them naturally. It should be natural. It cannot be forced.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah, we would love to know, who is Surbhi Sahni? Would love for you to just tell us about yourself, about your coming out journey, your relationships, you know, your family, all the joys of it. So I'd love to hear that from you.
Sure. So I identify myself in a big way still as an Indian. Of course, I'm also American because I was born and brought up in India, lived in India till I was about 25, 26. I'm a mother of a 19-year-old daughter. I lived sort of a straight life till I was about 35 years old, which is when I sort of realized that I'm queer and started exploring that space for myself. I'm of course a chef, like, and I love cooking. I love feeding people. I think I'm very creative. I love like creating art. I paint a lot. I write a lot. I read as much as I can, which is not a lot. I was just complaining to someone the other day. I don't read any much anymore because there's no time. I love creating new relationships and new friendships across the border, whether from different communities. And I think living in New York has been so amazing because it's opened those sort of horizons for me to like sort of live this very integral life, which maybe wouldn't have happened if I would have stayed back in India and not done much, you know, like just kind of stayed in the same country. I mean, I'm an NYU graduate. I also have I have extended amount of family here. My brother lives here in Boston. My dad and mom live with my brother. My brother has 2 kids, and then I have plenty of cousins that are spread across New York City and California, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
It. Love
Sorry.
Can you see yourself
And then-
living anywhere else? Can you see yourself outside of New York?
I think
No?
I think in New York has been the most sort of integral experience, and
Mhm.
I can see that if I was living somewhere else, especially like if I was living in India, I certainly couldn't live sort of the free queer life that I want to.
Mhm.
I already sort of know that, at one point I was married, and I'm still trying to completely separate out that segment from my life. Um, there are guests that still think I'm married that I meet on a regular basis. And that's kind of difficult for me sometimes. Not sometimes, most of the times. But I think New York provides this sort of space safe haven for me that also helps me kind of create bridges, create communities, and continue doing the kind of work that I want to do.
Oh, wow. So I won't selfishly call you to Chicago, but I do. I do would love. Yeah, I will definitely make the pilgrimage to
I
New
think
York.
eventually I will probably at some point move out from New York, and there are ways in which you can kind of live anywhere and create a community. It's about finding the right people and like believing in whatever you are doing and just kind of reaching out
Mhm.
and creating those safe spaces within and around you. So I think I could live other places too, but I love New York.
I get it. Okay. Yeah. Zara, did you?
Kind of like considering we're in the space, right, that Desi Rainbow has created for us and set the platform for us, Desi Rainbow is all about support, right, and supporting folks through that kind of like journey into queerness, journey of like, finding community, building relationships with your own family, all of that. So my question for you is, given that, you had mentioned that you came out when you were, you said 35? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm 34 right now, so that's like, that's striking me. And my question for you is just like, what was that transition like for you, and what did your support look like?
Well, I initially didn't even know what hit me. So it took me a good 2 or 3 years to kind of come around to realizing like what was kind of going on, and knowing that, I don't know, I guess, well, one, when it happened, it was everything in life suddenly made sense. It all kind of fell into its right place. It like as of what's that box that you change that you can, like, that toy that kids have that you have to bring all the colors. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like I kind of
The
felt
Rubik's Cube?
Correct. Thank you.
So you solved the Rubik's Cube when you figured out you were queer?
Yeah. I literally was like, oh my God, this just so finally makes sense for me. And this is why I was like always in straight communities, and I would always be feeling differently. I was way shyer and quieter. I know it doesn't come through, but I was a very shy and quiet person, and also deeply insecure about myself. And so just kind of when that happened, I was like, oh my God, like this is why I've always felt awkward. And like when people are saying certain things, I'm feel really angry about certain things, but I don't know why I feel angry. Or even in like certain sexual spaces, I'm very uncomfortable by certain moves that are being made by certain genders. I'm just like, this doesn't feel right to me, and I don't know why. And after that initial sort of experience, I very slowly started actually looking for friends. And initially, it was some friend that someone called me, and they were South Asian queer person, and they called me, and I used to make wedding cakes and birthday cakes at that time, and I picked up the phone, and they were like, hello, I'm Shale, and like literally had a 1 hour ramble on conversation in which they told me all about their girlfriend and about their life and what was kind of going on in their life. And they were placing an order for a cake with me, and they actually introduced me to a lot of their queer South Asian community. And that was my first introduction coming in. And ever since I've been in that space, I feel safe, I feel free, I feel like I've found friendships in community that truly feel like a family, where I can talk about anything that I want and not feel judged, not feel fearful, a deep sense of connection that we all sort of want. Um, yeah, so I don't know if when I was coming out, if I didn't have this friendships, if that would have been that easy. I think truly having those friendships helped me move on and like just stay committed to my steps and feel like I'm not wrong in making the decisions that I'm making. And this is all gonna, in the long run of things, this is all gonna fall into place and it'll be okay. It was hard. It was very scary. I'm like,
Yes.
I'm doing this thing and I'm still a little bit fearful because there are people that might be like watching it live on Facebook and they might judge me for it. It's not easy to live it.
Yeah.
You're such a brave soul. I
don't know about
adore
that.
you. You're making me emotional.
No, I just think like I don't feel like that I have a choice. Like I don't feel like I have a choice of, if I want to be happy, then this is the life that I need to live. And this is the way, these are the decisions I need to make to get to the point Z. I don't even know what the point Z is. There's no like, I think like when we are younger, like we have this sort of a mirage idea of like, I guess that's a lot of it is Bollywood and Karan Johar's fault of like how everything is a white horse and like there's like clouds everywhere and we're running in our saris and even it's freezing. I mean, life doesn't work out that way, right? Like
No, it
life is
doesn't.
more about smaller things, like as small as like, oh, like you love mangoes and your partner thought about you and brought you a mango and cut it for you when you came back home, right? Like it's something so simple. And I don't think that it has to do with what gender the person across from you is in that case, right? It can be any gender, as long as you love each other, are committed to each other, and like have, and that's the same goes with the community too, right? Like as a friend, if you need somebody, what doesn't matter what that gender is, if you can connect with them, then that is real and that's the friendship you need.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that, the way you said that.
That was beautiful.
Especially the mango analogy.
I love mangoes. And I know Piali, my partner, is not listening to this, but we have a joke going on because like they went to India and like I begged them to get me mangoes, which is not legally allowed. So they got me mango, but it was not a real mango. It was a mango. It was a soap in the shape of a mango.
Well, you didn't specify, I guess.
Exactly.
Love that. Love that.
That's really cute. Yeah, that's definitely warming my heart a little bit. Wow. And so, I think there's something that you said that resonated with me, which was like, kind of like thinking about maybe people who are learning about your queerness for the first time watching this Facebook Live, right? And I just want to like also just amplify just kind of the opposite perspective, right? Of maybe like young queer people seeing this or, just by being you and just by showing up and telling your story, like I just like the impact you've had on me, but like, I also just think about everyone like it's just like, it's deeply profound. And I think it's energetically a little bit stronger than the angry people. So I just want to like make sure to just amplify that message real quick. So thank you for being here. And my next story is kind of like, there was another thing that resonated with me when I met you in New York a few weeks ago. We were chatting, you were telling me that like branding is really kind of something that, that you enjoy with TAGMO, right? With your restaurant, telling the story of your restaurant, making the choices of like, the colors, the vibe, what the interior is like, all of that. And you're really creating a powerful space, right? You really have a really beautiful, I pick up like connection to roots, but also like kind of this modern, like inviting twist, right, to what you're doing. So my question for you is, Is there a story you're trying to tell through TAGMO, or could you maybe just tell us a little bit more about like what the experience was like creating and launching TAGMO?
So in the year 2008, around about the time that I kind of realized that I was queer, I knew that I had to, I was working with my ex-husband still at that time. I knew that I had to sort of create a distance or a space for myself as a chef, and I wanted to kind of change things. So I launched a company called Bittersweet NYC with a friend of mine, Natalie Pinto, who is not my business partner anymore. And I worked on that company for about 10 years, in which we made wedding cakes. We did street fairs where we were selling all kinds of crazy stuff. We were doing, I was doing CSAs, which is the community garden sort of a space. We were selling food on streets. We were doing sweet boxes. We were doing chocolates. We were trying to do everything under the sun to figure out, like, a big part of it was a learning experience of where I want to head. In 10 years later, I was like, oh, you know what? I want to just do online gift packaging and launch a company which only does Indian style artisanal mithai. That decision was made. And I was ready to close Bittersweet NYC because Natalie didn't want to be in the online business platform. Thought that I was going to close that company and open another company. And I was thinking of what the name of my new company was going to be. And I think that took me about a year. It was crazy. Like, you would think, like, name of the company. It took me a long time to, like, write all of this stuff down. And, like, I actually had a dream one night of a tigress, which I'm not going to go into because this is like a long story. And, like, before I woke up, I was petting this tigress and that's what made me decide that I was going to call my company Behind a Tigress. Because I'm a little like, what is that? I'm a little like, I like to read when I dream a lot in like in like vivid colors. And when I do that, I go back and look online what the dreams mean. And this one meant more like if you have, you're going through a huge amount of transition and like there's a lot of upheaval happening, but you're going to conquer it. So I was like, well, if the tigresses come to me, then the company has to be called Behind a Tigress. And we found the word Tagmo in Bhutanese or Tibetan. But a big part of Tagmo also is my whole thought process that started at the same time when Bittersweet was launched was to create a women-based company, because one of my first jobs back home in India at the Sheraton in Delhi was an all-women's kitchen. It was the first all-women's kitchen, I think, in the entire India, probably on that like scale of like a 5-star hotel, like having an all-women's and all front of the house. And that was amazing because I made the kind of friendships that, you know, you don't necessarily think would happen. And I'm saying this now because I realize this is part of the patriarchal sort of conversation, is that women cannot work together. They're catty. They will fight with each other. They don't know how to create this sort of they don't know how to run businesses. Like, this is the sort of message that's always sort of sent out in various communities. And I kind of started working in a very different space with all women. And when I came to the US, I really missed those sort of friendships with other women, female chefs. So I was like, I really think that would be cool. And at one point, in fact, like I went through a lot of like financial troubled life. And so I was looking for jobs. I was in fact applying in several incarcerated spaces that had women, like even saying that you can pay me like some minimal wage. All I want to do is come and teach these women how to cook. And of course, I didn't get hired. But I also, like, the whole idea was to kind of create a community of women that are going to go out back to their families and cook with their families and hopefully help them mend a lot of bridges if they have bridges. It's also a great way of connecting with the community itself. And then, of course, I ran the Sapna project, which was in the Bronx, which was for about 2 years, where I was teaching South Asian women to cook in commercial kitchens, which is truly launched the, like really helped Bittersweet as well, because I was hiring them to also do my mithai at that time on the side while we were doing this tiffin project for a nonprofit. And then, of course, through all of this, TAGMO was born, like this idea of having a community of women kind of working together. I mean, having queer people and people of color was just like, not, I don't even have to think about it twice. Like it's accepted, like this is who I am. Like, why would I not like take all the trumpets and say, come join me, right? Like it was an easy transition. So I think TAGMO is like, I feel like has become sort of like my life story about community building in whichever way, small way that I could do, of creating connections. A lot of people that come to dine with us have known me for a while or are starting to know about me. And you know, I feel we hopefully kind of create the space that I'm hoping for in the long run, where it's mostly all pretty much, I mean, right now we're all women run, so I'm hoping that we continue that process as we grow bigger, especially like as our online business, sweets business grows bigger and we hire other places, we get another place, because that's what we're doing right now, is finding another kitchen space just for launching our sweets only.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's
incredible. You're incredible.
I'm working on it now. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, definitely bad bee energy. That's what I'm picking up on. It's incredible. Marine, I'll pass it to you for the next question.
But you know, I wanted to ask you about your daily joys and your triumphs and in this journey that you've taken, but it is so apparent that you live your truth and you have created this amazing space and shared it with so many people, the joys that you have, you know, in your life. So I'm going to skip to the next question.
Okay.
I would love to, okay, now this is going to sound morbid, but it's not meant that way, but what would be your legacy if, you know, like what would you want people to remember about you? At the end, you know, we always think what's, or even not even at the end. I mean, just as you're continuously paving your way at a very young age that you are, what would be your legacy? What would you want to be remembered?
I would like a lot of lilies on my funeral. So just anyone that's listening, I love lilies.
But now I didn't really mean it anymore.
No, I think like if I can create friendships, like true friendships that last a lifetime, if I can kind of create safe spaces for other younger communities, or if I can like inspire even if it's a couple of businesses to kind of move forward and not feel fearful. I'm a lot about work. I do work a lot. And so like if there's like some of the things that we also try and do is like if there are some smaller businesses that are like South Asian, women run, queer run, we actually have a place in our restaurant. When you enter the restaurant, we call it as a brand wall, where we give representation to all of these businesses. So you could come in and like, let's say if there's a candle maker, you can come and buy a candle from them.
Oh, wow.
Or if it's a tea maker, you can buy tea from them. The whole idea is to like kind of talk about South Asian businesses that are doing work that is beyond what is available in Whole Foods or in the larger departmental stores. But my legacy would be to just kind of create those communities and like maybe people remembering me for like for like creating bridges and having these kind of open conversations. But I think also hopefully for my amazing food and my amazing sweets. So.
You're like this candle, and wherever the flame goes, you have reached, you know, so many people and empowered. You're empowering by a living model. It's incredible what you're doing.
I'm trying. I am trying.
Zara?
Career milestones you kind of want to reflect on for a minute? Anything coming up for you?
Oh, I think like I am a little bit scared about moving the sweets kitchen to a separate subsection right now. You know, I think I see that the models that have sort of been successful in commercial world are very different from the model I'm following right now. So I am I am pushing the boundaries and challenging it. My sweets are really artisanal and extremely time consuming to make. And so teaching the staff is super labor intensive, and it's not easy to kind of go through them step by step. But also like, so that like, you know, when I had started Bittersweet, one of the things was, of course, like I wanted to start talking about Indian mithai. But the other day I was having a conversation with someone and I said, you know, that sweet Turkish delights, do you know it? Turkish delights, everybody Turkish delights, right? Like they're in all superstores, everyone talks about it. So I feel like I want TAGMO to be the company that like brings Turkish delights, but not Turkish delights, but Indian mithai to the American palate, and like be the forerunner that people never forget, like that we established Indian mithai in America.
Love that. Oh, wow.
That would be pretty amazing.
Incredible.
I know we're running short on time to open it up to the audience, or
sure. Actually, I have one more question. Maybe after that question, we could open it up.
and I have one more too, because I can't, this is not enough time for this.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so mine real quick is kind of about home traditions, right? To me, food is just such a deeply it's just like such a deeply like nostalgic thing, right? I think about like right now it's Ramzan, and for me it's like, you know, I got to visit with my mom earlier this week and I ate her pakoras and had a glass of ruafsa, and it like, you know, it just like really did something to my spirit, right? So my question for you, Surbhi, is you talk a lot about mithai. I'm just kind of curious, are there like traditions from your childhood, whether it's sweet or savory foods? Are there like dishes that come up for you that you know, kind of resonate around early memories?
Oh yeah, I think like a lot of the food, like not everything that is on the menu, certainly, because I've also been cooking for what, like 25, 26 years now, like in kitchens. So a lot of the menu, whether it's on the sweets or the savory section, has come from my memories. From the sweet, I'm gonna say it quickly, is the besan laddus, because like my dad,
Oh my God.
we had like a halwai shop like around the corner, like close by, and my dad would like go there, and like it was the cheapest sweet, and he would constantly bring me besan laddus. The one sweet that I haven't made is like just a plain burfi, because for some reason I love the plain burfi from my neighborhood. And I don't want to recreate it in a way, because I feel like if my burfi turns out better, then it like just sort of jeopardizes that I'm me liking the other burfi ever again. So I haven't created that. But in terms of food, like, I mean, things like Loki kofta is on the menu, which is very much a home style Saturday morning lunch for us. Or like we have like our dal for the day every day is different. So we do rajma or chole, or like just a plain yellow dal, or like we have khichdi on the menu. So a lot of the food, when we say home foods, we actually are doing food that is being cooked in people's homes, and just keep it light and flavorful and easy. And I mean, people are liking it so far.
Oh my gosh, my mouth is salivating right now. What? And today, I'm not. But today being Easter, for many of our audience members who have come in, what would you serve today if we were to walk in and on a Surbhi Easter meal or snack or something being served? What would you serve in a South Asian home for Easter?
I think I don't celebrate Easter. But if I was to do a Easter lunch or whatever, I probably would focus on doing a lot of Anglo-Indian dishes. So like maybe an Anglo-Indian prawn curry, you know, maybe do a kid curry, maybe do some sort of a custard for dessert, with some fresh fruits on it, or like maybe start off with some cauliflower latkes with some cranberry chutney or something like that. Like just keep it very like sort of that in that inclination. Or you could also do like food from Kerala. It's amazing because they do celebrate Easter in Kerala a lot.